spanning over 2 decades in marketing research, strategic management, and academics. His leadership extends to roles such as being a consultant at IMRB, managing manager at the Peninsula Center for Knowledge and Human Rights, and founder of GKI. In addition to his corporate achievements, Mohan Sir is a respected educator, serving as visiting faculty at institutes of repute such as Delhi University, Indian Institute of Foreign Trade, and many such more institutes. Sir, we are so honored to your insights and experience will undoubtedly enrich our knowledge and inspire new perspectives in teaching and research. I request Professor Sir Abhijit Sir to kindly be present, sir, in this session.
It's like 1 hour I take to reach. By the time I sort of landed, it was almost 1.5 hours and then sort of more and more time to get out. Anyway, whatever it is, we will start. I have a presentation and I will also start the, what we will do is we will keep the theory less, but I do think some part is required, otherwise it takes a long time for people to understand text meaning. But you already have 2 days, so I really don't know what you have picked up. But if it is redundant, please tell me so that I can skip for what time. I think many of this you might know, but I thought I will sort of introduce for 5-10 minutes. Probably I will pass this faster. Then I have 3 chapters. One is to get to know orange data mining because it got a lot of default setting. Sometimes when I learned on my own, because there are videos, very helpful videos, but still you miss out some of the mistakes that you make. So I thought I should sort of introduce you to the general software because it's a data mining software for quantitative. So I am a quantitative and a qualitative researcher. Very few are both, and nowadays I do mostly qualitative research, marketing area. It is less used so, but there are lots of very nice widgets that are used for qualitative methods that I will share. But I don't exclusively use, Orange. I'm sure all of you are learning about NVGO, but there are also many other new tools that are coming, cheaper, better, that are growing, especially after the LLMs, they can cooperate, and then we will sort of spend more time in these 2 areas. So I divided the text mining into 2 parts. One is a certain basic text mining from pre-processing to certain simpler things that we do. That doesn't therefore it is hard for people, and we move from databases to relational databases to more complex kinds of databases. But unstructured data throws up a completely different challenge. That is why you have new forms of database software is available or database storing techniques. The difference about unstructured data is that you can't measure the length and they can vary like branching. Best way to imagine is how will you store a Facebook or a YouTube thread where people are somebody is adding a GIF file, right? So many different kinds of information is getting added, and that is what we mean by multiple threads. And these multiple threads have to be stored and used in analysis. This is unlike the traditional thing, and I'm sure when you look at Excel sheet, you will have the name of the student, the year they were born, and their parents' name, their mother's name, right? Maximum you might have one more column for guardian name, assuming okay. Nowadays people are going through multiple marriages. You can even, if you really want, foreigner, parent and all, but mostly you don't have it, right? But today these unstructured database can accommodate those complexities also, without much of a difficulty adding columns and on the fly, right, as it varies. So that is the thing about unstructured data, and text is largely an unstructured data in many ways. Now, therefore, given this, the world is also moving to unstructured data. reason there has been such high-speed progress in the last 20 years from the time when Google, started out. At that time, there were many search engines. I remember we had invited at IIT Delhi Alta Vista founders. We thought Alta Vista is going to be the next big thing, but Alta Vista never became such a big, entity. But Google became. So from that era to now, you can see, the use of machine learning because processing power got cheaper, storage got cheaper, and now, deep learning came in, and then you have, adversarial network. Right? GAN is what sort of propels some of the large language models. Essentially, you're throwing very high level of resources, storage cost into the. And also, people have, put so much information online. It becomes easy for us to use people's information back to analyze. So that is the, text mining is nothing but deriving insights, from or useful knowledge or useful information. Again, insights, there are so many controversial definitions of what insight means. And typically, most of the applications are not so much what we researchers use, in the academic framework. They are meant for scale. So I will show you the company that I help. So we work on scale, and therefore scale level of information is what one looks for. And I will sort of share one use case. Essentially the three B words that is used: velocity, high level of information getting generated at any moment on Instagram. So much information is getting added. There is a variety of information on many topics, and of course the volume is humongous, and from that insight has to be generated. The oldest, obviously, the unstructured data insight was using words to generate where such page exists. Like for example, if I search for warranties, Google is able to quickly identify that probably I'm looking for your Tolstoy's warranties book, right? And at the same time, it's trying to make money, and it's quite nice to sort of. When I search for it, thankfully there was no sponsored thing there. But it was still trying to sell books on it. That is how it tries to make money, right? But if I sort of refine it by saying world warranties, it sort of, you can see the number of searches reduces from 42 million to 40, more than that, actually 2.5 million. Right? So to 25 billion, sorry, 25 billion, 25 billion, yeah, no, 2.5 billion. So, it's reduced, and then, if I say worldwide or world warranties apart, it sort of narrows it down to say, now I understand what you're looking for, right? So, and it's all ultimately, we will see later how we can create a map of related search words to sort of narrow down. So, typically, it's like, how the brain also works. If you were to search your brain for bird, you will probably, and this is I have experimented with people in workshops, people will not be able to remember more than 20-25 words because we are usually doing a serial search in our brain and use the same traffic, right? Like the way I thought everybody is converging at similar places, and that leads to more time. But and you see that search all over, whether it is shopping or whatever, and you sort of improve, you can actually relate the word to images as well. So this is the latest evolution, of course, is generative AI. So you can see that AI has been there from the 60s, right? As a theory, it has been sort of prevailing. Deep learning is the more later one, 2009, 16, 17, so that we had more data to generate, and hopefully there will be many more developments that will happen. And there are already a whole lot of companies that are trying in various areas. Some of them are horizontal, you can see like ChatGPT and so on, and some of them are very, very specific. A lot of my children use Go quite a lot. They seem to be learning from a variety of LLM and trying to pick up information across. So as a generation that is growing up, they are growing on trying to be innovative on top of the machine. So there is a famous word by Philip Tetlock. You might have Flipkart for quite a long time. The only problem with these sort of areas is companies learn from them and then they build it later. Okay, so we have worked for almost 2 years with Flipkart, right we are working with another very large company. So we take the product page. Imagine, for example, you go to any of these e-commerce sites to buy perfumes, luxury perfumes. Luxury perfumes cost you 10,000, 20,000, 30,000. So these perfume companies are saying that why should I pay these e-commerce sites commission of 30, 40, in fact 40, 50%. What are you doing? Because if you search for a perfume, it throws up something like 200 to 300 choices. Right? So let's say whatever, all kinds of fancy brands. Minimum 10,000 going to 30,000, 40,000, or let's say luxury watches. Right? So each of these companies have a brand page explaining what the brand is unique about, what kind of persona, right? Are you going for a date, or is it a interview? You want to impress your partner, or you want to impress your friend? What